to our webinar this evening, where we'll be going through navigating the application process for the BRUSHA Diploma in Dietetic Education and Practical Training, as well as the Master of Science in Foods and Nutrition, the practicum-based program. Before we begin, I thought I'd take a minute to just introduce you to the team that's here from BRUSHA. And so I'll begin with myself. So I am here, I'm Helen Toes, and I'll be your narrator for part of today's session. And I'm one of the dietetic education coordinators, and you'll be joined also in this webinar by Joy Horde, another dietetic education coordinator, as well as Leslie McCaskill and Kathy McKay. And we're lucky to have Dr. O'Connor with us today, who is the program director. Okay. Now that we have the introductions finished, I'll go through a little bit of housekeeping yet for you as well. So thank you everyone for joining us. We're going to ask that you keep your microphone muted and your cameras off during the presentation. We are recording the session today, and the recording will be made available on our website, and we'll also email it out to everyone who registered for this session. If you have questions as we go through the presentation, we invite you to put those in the chat. And we'll also be taking some breaks throughout the session and at the end for those questions, and we'll take some time then to respond to those. Next slide, please.
Hi, everyone. As I'm sure you're aware, BRUSHA plans to fully integrate with Western University beginning May 1st, 2024, which means that at that time, the DDEPT and MScFN programs will begin to be housed at Western. We do anticipate, though, that they will continue to run as they've been structured. We're excited today to share that our admissions for MScFN practicum-based and DDEPT will open on November 1st, so in 2 days from now. And we will continue to share additional details that might affect the MScFN and DDEPT programs as they become available. And we do appreciate your patience and understanding as we go through this transition time. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns. And you'll see the fnsgrad@uwo.ca email, I'm sure, several times during this presentation. Next slide.
We're going to go through a lot of details during our session today, beginning with a brief overview of our practicum-based programs. We're going to spend the bulk of our session talking about the 3 components of the application process, and we're going to finish up our session with a live walkthrough of our admission websites. I encourage all of you to go to our website, where all of this information is posted in more detail. In particular, on our website, we have our webinar, our last webinar is posted there, so you can go there to learn a lot more about the details of the program. I'm going to briefly review some of the highlights from that webinar just to set a context for a detailed review of our application process. So there are 3 program options available at BRUSHA. Today's webinar is really going to focus on 1 and 2, which are the practicum-based programs, so the diploma, the DDEPT program, Diploma in Dietetic Education and Practical Training, as well as the MScFN, or the Masters of Science in Foods and Nutrition practicum-based programs. For more information about our MScFN thesis-based program and how to apply, again, please go to the BRUSHA website, and there'll be lots of information for you there. At a high level, this is what each of the programs are about. The DDEPT program is a full-time, practicum-based 12-month program. Upon completion, graduates are eligible to write the CDRE, which is the Canadian Dietetic Registration Exam. The MScFN practicum-based program is a full-time, 20-month program with a strong academic research focus. Upon completion, again, Graduates are eligible to write the CDRE and they obtain their master's degree. All program information, including more information about program fees, how we calculate your average, and the required courses are available on our website. And I just want to say a note about terminology. So for the remainder of the webinar, I'm going to be referring to the MScFN practicum-based program solely as MScFN. While this webinar is meant to support your application process, it does not replace the detailed information and instructions that we have available on our websites. I also want to let you know that we have some drop-in sessions coming up through the next few weeks, and you're welcome to join us during those sessions if you have some specific questions for us or if things come up for you between today and in a couple weeks in the future. You can check out our website for upcoming dates and times. And like Dr. O'Connor said, there's our website information there, as well as our email, fnsgrad@uwo.ca. So you can always send us your specific questions there. So the applications for the MScFN and DDEPT programs are opening on Wednesday. That's November the 1st. All components of the application need to be completed by Monday, January the 15th at 4 p.m. And this is a firm deadline. This slide gives you a quick overview of the application process. And we're going to spend the bulk of this webinar reviewing each of these components in detail. So let me just take a few steps and walk you through what we have here. So component 1 is the online application process. This is separate for each program. It includes details like the confirmation of completion of the PDEP accreditation form, your unofficial transcripts, and if applicable, your KCAT results. Component 2 is on OWL, which is Western's online learning platform. Here, you'll answer questions specific to travel, your practicum location, as well as some supplementary questions. The OWL portion is the same for both MScFN and DDEPT programs and only needs to be completed once, even if you're applying to both programs. Component 3 is the Casper test, which is a situational judgment test measuring social intelligence and professionalism. The Casper test is the same for DDEPT and the MScFN programs and only needs to be completed once, even if you're applying to both programs. All 3 of these components must be complete for your application to be moved forward into review by the admissions committee. The admissions committee will review each complete application. The results of the review will determine who receives an admission offer for the DDEPT program. There are no interviews for the DDEPT program. There is an interview for the MScFN program, and applicants will be invited to the interview based on a review of their application. Offers for the MScFN program are based on your application and interview. And offers of admission will be sent out beginning early in March 2024. Okay, so that's the quick overview of the application process. Now we're going to go through each component in more detail. So component 1 is the online application. If you're applying to the DDEPT program only, you will apply through Brusha Admissions. If you are applying to the MScFN program only, you're going to apply through the School of Graduate Studies at Western University. If you are applying to both the DDEPT and the MScFN program, you need to complete 2 applications, one to Brusha and one to the School of Graduate Studies at Western. So looking at the DDEPT application through Brusha Admissions, there's a $75 application fee, and you need to complete their online form. It will ask you to upload the following documents in a PDF format: your PDEP accredited academic program form. So only students who have completed an accredited program can receive this form, which must be completed by your university administration. Applicants from the United States can submit an Ascend verification form. which again needs to be completed by the administration of the university where you completed your accredited undergraduate degree. Unofficial transcripts, including transcripts from all your post-secondary schools that you've attended, are uploaded to the online application form. Transcripts must include your fall 2023 term grades for those who are currently enrolled in school. Official transcripts will be required only for those who are admitted into the program. We'll ask you to upload your KCAT results if that's applicable to your situation. Now looking at the MScFN application, again, that's through the School of Graduate Studies at the University of Western Ontario. There's a $125 application fee, and you need to complete the online form. Again, the required documents need to be uploaded in a PDF format. That's your accredited academic program form, your unofficial transcripts, as well as your KCAT results if they're applicable. In addition, they'll ask you to upload your English language proficiency test results if that's applicable to your situation. Step 2, or component 2, is on OWL. The OWL is the same for both the DDEPT and MScFN programs. So if you are applying to both DDEPT and MScFN, you only need to complete the OWL component once. Within OWL, we're going to ask you to answer some questions related to practicum and travel requirements. We're going to ask you to identify your 3 placement region preferences, as well as answer some optional self-identification questions. There are 7 supplementary questions that require your response. And please note that resumes and references are not required as part of your OWL component. Once you open the OWL component, you will have until January 15th to complete it. So take your time, take a look at the questions, and craft your responses. You're able to go in and out of OWL as often as you like. Please save your responses each time. And you'll be asked to submit your application once you're finished. You will only be able to submit it once. At the end of this presentation, Kathy is going to go through all of this as she takes you on a tour of our application process. The OWL component includes 7 supplementary questions. Some require typed responses and others ask for an audio response. These questions are experientially based. We encourage you to draw on your work, volunteer, and life experiences to answer these questions. We strongly advise you to read each question thoroughly and follow all the instructions. It's important for you to know that each reviewer will only see responses to 1 question. This means that the reviewers do not know how you've responded to the other questions. Each of your responses needs to be able to stand alone. Your responses to these questions are your opportunity to highlight the skills and experiences that you bring to the next step of becoming a registered dietitian. During the review of the supplemental questions, the admissions committee reviewers will not have access to your other admission details. This approach is designed to minimize both conscious and unconscious bias. At this point, we're going to pause and ask for your questions related to either component 1, which is the BRUSHA or Western application process, or to component 2, which is the OWL portion with the supplementary questions. Again, if you want to take a minute and put your questions in the chat, we'll try to respond to them at this point. There'll also be other spots during the presentation if you want to keep putting your questions in.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the demonstration. I didn't get it. Shall I write the question on the chat, or it's okay to it orally?
If you can put it in the chat, that would be great.
Perfect.
And I will start with some of the questions that are there. One of them is about a resume, and absolutely, you do not need a resume at any step in the application. However, those supplementary questions are really going to be digging into your past experiences and the skills that you're bringing to the program and to the profession. In terms of opening the OWL component, I would definitely encourage you to take the time that is available to you. So you do have 2.5 months to respond to those questions. Take your time to read them, to think about them, and craft your responses. You have quite a bit of time to get back. And like I said, you can go in and out of the application. Make sure you save your responses, and you can keep on working on those as you go through. And then there's a question about completing the online application until the fall exam grades are released, and that is correct. So for your undergraduate transcript, we're definitely looking for you to have your fall grades there available. I'm just reading some of the questions here.
Yeah, and Helen, we can jump in as well. Don't feel
Absolutely,
like
please do.
you don't have to answer every question.
If you have the KCAT, will you still need to submit the PDEP program if you're internationally educated? I think the answer is no to that question. So if you've completed the KCAT, then you don't need to complete the PDEP completion form.
For the next question, I don't mind addressing it. Do we need to write only our relevant work experiences or any work experience we had? I would suggest focusing on the work experiences that you feel are most relevant to dietetics or a practicum. So meaning those skills that you think will be helpful in helping you succeed in the program or in your career. Hopefully that answers your question.
Sorry, Joy, can I just add to that? It doesn't necessarily have to be, again, there's no expectation. We have fully trained dietitians coming into the program. So again, you can think about experiences, any work experience you've had, but how does that relate to the program?
There's a question about how many applicants we get. And I would encourage you to go. Oh.
Yeah, the audio. I don't know what's happening there, Helen. I'm going to test it again. Oh, well, I sound okay now, I think. Do I sound okay to everyone? Helen was definitely breaking up.
Yes.
Much better.
Okay, good. So Helen, do you want to try again? I'm not sure what you were about to say.
Is it clear now?
Yes.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens. No worries. So I think it's about how many applicants do we get and how many get accepted.
And I would say that changes every year. Definitely we addressed that in our previous webinar. So I encourage you to go back and take a listen to that piece.
I think it would be in our FAQ section on the website as well.
It is in our FAQ section. There's a question about the OWL questions, if you have to finish it all at once or if it's open. So the OWL application is open until January the 15th at 4 p.m. So you do not need to answer it all at once. You can go in and out. Be sure to save your responses as you go through. In terms of your Ascend credentials, you don't need to write the KCAT if your Ascend credentials are recent. That is within the last 3 years.
It's not required to have a LinkedIn profile, but it's a good idea, but it's not a requirement of applying to our programs.
Unofficial transcripts. I mean, if you have an official transcript, you can certainly upload a PDF of your official transcript, but we'll be asking for the official ones for those people who are successful in the getting into the program. So yes, you can just upload a copy.
There's a question here about how long are the responses. I'm assuming that means, or you're referring to responses in the supplementary questions. I think some of them do have word limits, but I don't recall exactly. 200 words? Does anyone remember?
I believe 200 words is correct.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of variation. I think
Okay.
there is one that's 250, but it all will be clearly marked, the limit for each question.
Yeah.
There's some more details, so make sure you keep following the chat along, because Leslie is also responding to some questions there for you as well. In terms of the work experiences and volunteering experiences that are considered relevant, I would encourage you to read the question and then really consider your past and the question, and then put those two pieces together. So I think we'll get on with the next component of our webinar here. So Joy is going to review component 3. Keep putting your questions in the chat, and we'll continue to respond to them as we go through, and there'll be another pause in a little bit.
Okay. So component 3 is the Casper test. So all applicants must complete a Casper test. If you are applying to both the DDEPT and the MScFN programs, you only need to complete the Casper test once. So you might wonder, what is Casper? Casper is an open response situational judgment test that evaluates applicants' social intelligence and professionalism, or what is sometimes referred to as soft skills or non-academic skills. And I think our team, we really feel that by including Casper in our admissions process, that we're going to get a much more holistic assessment of you, our candidates, and will also enhance our fairness and objectivity, I guess, of the process. So before we get into any more details about Casper, I just want to point out that the Casper website is excellent, and we've provided the link here. You'll find everything about Casper there, including details about the format of the test, test prep. There's an excellent section on frequently asked questions, so highly recommend using that resource and going to the website. So according to the Casper peeps, the people that developed Casper, it is an online, as we've said twice, I think already, an online open response situational judgment test. So basically it's asking you what you would do in a tough situation. So you're going to get all these scenarios and you're going to be asked, what would you do here? And perhaps more importantly, why would you do that? So this helps determine behavioral tendencies of applicants pursuing people-centered professions, such as dietetics. The fee for the Casper test is $66. The $50 is for the test itself. And then there is a $16 distribution fee that's required. So it's just getting your results from the Casper people to brush up. There's this distribution fee. And again, if you're applying to both programs, you'll only have to pay that distribution fee once. Next slide, please. Okay, the Casper format. So it is an online test, and you'll be presented with 14 video or word-based real-life scenarios, followed by open-ended questions. So it is, the test is split up into 2 sections. The first section is the video response section, where you'll be given 6 scenarios, and then afterwards you'll be getting, well, not afterwards, sorry. You're gonna view the scenario, and then you're gonna get 2 questions, and you have to answer those using a video format. So you will record your answer, and you'll be given 1 minute to answer each question. Okay, so that's how the video response section works. The second section, and this is actually slightly larger than the first, is your typed response section. So this is where you're going to be typing out your answers. And with this section, you're going to get 8 scenarios. For every scenario, you're going to get 3 questions that you need to answer. And this is going to be timed. You'll get 5 minutes to complete all 3 questions for each scenario. So that might sound a little daunting. Even to me, it sounds a bit daunting. So I think, and we're going to talk about this in a second, but this is where practice comes in. And we really want to emphasize that piece, that it's super important to go into the Casper website, and you will have the opportunity to do a practice test. Actually, I'm going to talk about that on the next slide. But so the whole timing piece, you're going to get better at it if you practice, right? Versus seeing and doing it for the first time on test day. But anyway, I'll talk about that more in a second. So the Casper test typically takes 90 to 110 minutes. You may wonder why that varies. Well, you're going to be offered 2 different breaks, and the breaks are optional. So obviously, if you don't take the breaks, you're going to be finished much sooner. I would probably take the breaks if I were you, but of course it's optional, so it'll be up to you. It's also important for you to know that the people that are rating your Casper questions, they are in fact humans, they're not bots. So that's good. And there's actually a different rater for each scenario. So this is an important thing to think about, because if you feel like you really blew it on one question, like, man, I really didn't get down what I wanted to get down and I ran out of time. When the next scenario starts, you start off fresh, because a different rater is going to be looking at that one. So it kind of gives you a clean slate, a fresh start. So try not to worry too much if you don't do well on one question, because you'll have a fresh chance on the next one. I should also add that the raters are apparently very well trained, including they get implicit bias training. Yeah. And the scores from the Casper test get automatically sent to the academic programs. It usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks from the time that you complete the test to for us to get the scores to Brusha. Okay. Next slide, please. So what does the Casper assess? So this is just giving you more details about exactly what personal traits or soft skills the Casper test is assessing. So these are the specific skills or personality traits that the raters will be looking for in your answers to the questions. So collaboration, communication, empathy, equity, ethics, motivation, problem solving, professionalism, resilience, and self-awareness. All really good things. And I think you'd agree with me that these are all really important traits for a very strong health professional. So I can see why these are the ones that they're testing out. All right, next slide, please. So the scheduled Casper test dates are as follows: November 23rd at 5 o'clock, December 7th at 8 p.m., And then in the new year on January the 10th at 8 p.m. Keeping in mind that these dates are set by the Casper people, like we don't have control over these dates. If you have any questions or concerns regarding these dates, please don't hesitate to reach out through email at fnsgrad@uwo.ca. Next slide, please. So this is, I think I've already obviously talked about this a little bit, but super important to prepare for Casper. Not necessarily studying, but again, going through the practice test. So yeah, we would strongly recommend this. This is going to allow you to experience the entire test format. So you're going to be able to see how the scenarios are kind of set up. You get a sense of timing, like how fast do I have to be with my ideas and how quickly do I have to write? So super important. So all you need to do is go to the link. We have it here on this slide, the Casper Test Prep. So it's a QD Insights test prep link. If you're not registered yet on the QD Insights website, you can click on this link and there's a register button right at the top. And you just click on register and get yourself registered, and then you'll be able to access the test. And if you've already registered, then all you need to do is log in and you'll be able to access the practice test. I believe there's also, they will check to make sure that your system is consistent with what's needed for the test as well. So that's a super important thing to check before the big test day. The last thing I want to mention about prep, and I mentioned it before, is there's a really excellent FAQ, frequently asked questions section on the website, on the Casper website. So strongly recommend you taking a careful look at those. Next slide. Oh, questions. Any questions about Casper? I know stuff has been coming into the chat, but I haven't had a chance to look at it. No, it doesn't look like any Casper questions yet. Give you a few seconds to type in case, or if you want to unmute yourself. Oh, here we go. Can we take the Casper exam more than once and use the higher mark? Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, sorry, but no, you get the one chance and that's it. That's just the way it works. Is there any chance to practice Casper before registering for it? Yeah, I just went over that. So we did provide the link to the test prep, Acuity Insights test prep. If you click on that link and register or log on, you will get access to the practice test. And you could do the practice test as many times as you want. For Casper, if you are not accepted into the program in the first year you apply, can you reuse the same test for the next year? That's a really good question, but unfortunately you cannot. I believe that you would have to take the Casper test again. You're welcome. Yeah, so it's not the score is not a pass fail. It's we actually get what's called a Z score, but you're basically put on like a curve. So we kind of get a number, so it's not really a pass fail. You may be on the lower end of things. But like we said in our other webinar, that we take all components of the application into consideration when we're making our admissions decisions. So if you do poorly on the Casper, like it'll probably bring down your overall ranking. I think that would be the impact. Do the practice tests? No, they do not. They're free. The practice test is free. Oh, Leslie did that already. Sorry. Even though January 10th will be the last test date, it will be too late to get the results before January 15th, correct? No, we wouldn't have it there if it wasn't okay. January 10th is fine. Even though we ask for your application to be complete by January 15th, we're okay with waiting those couple weeks to get your score, your Casper score. What is the wait for the Casper? How do I answer that? I think I would just say that all main components of our application process are important. I really can't say exactly what the weighting is, but they're all important and they're all considered in your application. Yes, accommodations are possible. Kayla, what I would do is go to the Casper website, and we've given you all those links, and apply for accommodations as soon as possible, because I know that they do need some lead time to accommodate accommodations, boy, to approve accommodations. So that would be my recommendation there. You will not get your Casper results, unfortunately.
Just to add to that, you do get some feedback from the Casper folks in regards to your results. So you don't get a score, but you do get some feedback from them.
Oh, I think I forgot that, Helen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me. Sorry about that.
So maybe we'll keep on moving forward with the presentation and our next section.
Okay, thank you. So after you submit your application by the deadline of January 15th, 2024 at 4 p.m., your application will then be assessed by the admissions committee. And we use a blinded process here at Brescia, and which means that the team members who are involved in reviewing your application are blinded to your name, your transcripts, as well as your Casper results. So they won't have access to any of that information as they're reviewing your supplementary questions, either the written or the audio. And so they'll be evaluated separately from that. And this is a process that we use with the intent to minimize bias. Also, beginning November 1st, any of our team members who will be reviewing applications will also be blinded to any email communication. So any emails that you come in will not be answered by the same people that will be reviewing your applications later on. Next slide, please. For the MScFN practicum-based program, there is an interview component. So after applications, after all the components are reviewed by the admissions committee, this review will determine which applicants will be invited to interview for the MScFN practicum-based program. So it's only applicants to the MScFN practicum-based program who will be required to complete an interview component. And those applicants who are selected for an interview will receive their interview invitations by email on or before February 13th. And that should say 2024. Sorry about that. For the interview details, the format that we'll be using is Zoom. The platform we'll be using is Zoom, so they will be virtual interviews only. And the questions for the interview will be research focused. The duration of the interview will be maximum 25 minutes. And for those who are selected for an interview, they can expect an invitation for one of the days in the week of February 19th to 23rd. Next slide, please. And we're welcome to have any questions about interviews or other questions.
So some final important details before we get to the application tour. It's important for you to know that all Brescia communications with you will be by email. For those of you with a school email, we ask you to use this email for your application process. It's your responsibility to watch your emails. Make sure you check your junk folder. And we really encourage you to check your inbox on a daily basis. Especially when we get to the offer stage in early March, there will be a 24 to 48 hour turnaround time for you to get back to us with your response to our offer. So we really ask that you pay attention to your inbox over that time. And then finally, there's notification of program acceptance will be made to successful applicants by email. So again, important to check your email starting early in March 2024. And we will continue with that process until all the positions have been filled. Typically, this process takes about 3 to 4 weeks. So please continue to check your inbox daily. We will notify all candidates when all the positions have been filled. And as somebody asked earlier, I just want to emphasize that offers are sent out separately for each program. So if you applied for both the diploma and the master's program, you may get an offer for both programs. So consider each offer for what fits best with you. So it is possible for you to get an offer for both. And we're going to have Kathy walk us through some of the admissions pieces at this point.
All right. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to do a little walkthrough. Let me just into my web browser here. So we've really talked about the components of the application. So I'm just going to walk through a few of the technical things just in navigating the application. So I'm going to start here just on Brescia's homepage, and you're going to go to academics, and our master's program will be under this graduate tool, and the DDEPT program will be under our diploma and certificate area. So I'll start with the diploma program or the DDEPT program. You're going to click on that. And then we're going to click on the diploma program here, the DDEPT one, and then we're going to click on future students. And it's really in this future students area that will be where you'll find most of the information that you need. Again, in our previous webinar, we went through admission requirements, tuition, described the practicum experience. So we encourage you to go back and watch that. And I'm really going to take you through the apply now section. and just show you how it's laid out and how to make sure you have access to everything. So I'm going to scroll down here. Again, you'll see the timelines that we discussed are listed at the top, and then a description of the application process. And again, just a reminder, we ask you to use the same email for all the components for consistency. And we ask you to read all the instructions on the website before starting the application, and the components can be completed in any order. And coming soon, hopefully by the end of this week, we'll also be posting a checklist. It'll be a printable or fillable online checklist that you can use, because the components are all housed on different platforms. The checklist can be really helpful in just making sure you have all of the components complete. And then you'll see here the 3 components that were described in our session today. So for the online application, and again, I'm not going to go through all the details. I'm going to point out this button here is how you will access the application form. It is not live yet. It won't be live till Wednesday, so I can't take you to it yet. But starting November 1st, you would just click on here. You'd go to the application form, and then that's where you're going to pay your fee and upload all your documents. This form you cannot, you have to do it all at once. It's not like OWL where you can do some and come back. So some students will have to wait till they have their fall grades to be able to do this component. So it kind of goes back to the components don't have to be completed in a specific order. And should the new year come, and for whatever reason, if you have concerns about your fall grades, and if there's any delay in them being available, you can always email us at FNSgrad. And then the OWL component 2 is here. So I want to highlight, actually, I'm going to go back here for a second. I did want to highlight one thing for the confirmation of completion of a PDEPT accredited form. So if you are a Brescia or a Western student, you can click right here. There's a link that'll take you to the request form, and the request must be submitted by November 17th of this year. If you're from another accredited program in Canada, then you would need to connect with somebody at your university in the program, so the administration there, to learn what the process is for you to obtain this form. And similarly, in the US, you would need to connect with the administration at the university where you did the accredited degree and ask about the process for getting the form. All right, so now I'm going to go down to the OWL component. So OWL, all applicants, and this actually includes Brescia and Western applicants, you must request OWL to access the OWL application component. We have to add you to the specific site where the questions are hosted. So all you do to request the access is you would just click on this button and you'll be able to request it. As soon as you request it and submit that request, you should get an email back that's going to outline instructions for navigating OWL. And this includes, if you're totally new to OWL, how to set up an account. And there's a 1-minute video that will guide you in that, as well as some written instructions. And similarly, there's a 2-minute video that will show you how to navigate the OWL platform, how to get into the assessment where you find it on the OWL page, and then how you can go in and out of the assessment throughout the application period. So that those details will all come to you once you request OWL access. We would recommend, it's probably better to sign up sooner than later, just so you have the access. And we do want to note, it can take 2 to 3 business days before we can grant access. And you will receive an email once your access has been granted. So stay tuned for that. And also note that any requests that come in from December 22nd till January 8th won't be processed until the week of January 8th. Yeah, so that's sort of how you get your OWL access. And then finally the Casper access. I know Joy talked about a lot of the links. So again, those are all on the website. So the most important thing here is just to set up your account and get registered for your date. And then also being able to access where you complete the practice test. But again, they have a really great website. So I encourage you to spend some time there. And that should help you get the answers that you need. And then at the bottom, again, we have, very similar information to what we had in our presentation on the selection process, offers of admissions. And then if you have any questions, you would email us. And I will just quickly, it's quite similar, but again, these are separate applications. I'm gonna just navigate to the master's or the MScFN site. So under academics, you'll go to graduate, and then you'll find the MScFN practicum program. And then within there, you're going to go to future students. And then again, on this site, it's a similar toolbar on the left here. And we're going to go to how to apply. And here you'll find a very similar site to what we just saw in the DDEPT. But the one thing to note is for the online application, this is going to take you to the MScFN application, which is through Western Grad Studies. And again, similarly, if you're a Brescia or Western student, you can click here to request the confirmation of completion form. And it outlines what you need to upload. And then the content for these are actually the same, depending if you're on DDEPT or master. So you would request the OWL access the same way. And the Casper test, again, you would register for your account the same way. There are, again, some details about the interview process, offer of admission, some information on how research supervisors are matched with students who are admitted into the program. And finally, a space where, again, you're welcome to email us with questions. So I just wanted to, give that quick walkthrough of these two sites. And these sites should really be your go-to for information. And again, you're always welcome to email us at FNSgrad. And again, starting November 1st, it'll be people not, it'll still be our team, but we kind of divide into some people who are doing the review and then some people who are more focused on supporting the application process. So you'll still get answers if you email us. So please send us your questions. And that is your overview, your website tour today. And I'm going to unshare that. I'm just going to bring us back, I think, maybe to see if there's any final questions. Let's go back here. All right.
About all of the pre-placement health and non-health requirements. So the Sawson is asking where we should do this list. And I would just say that you don't need to worry about that list until you have an offer of admission, and we'll send out more information at that time.
Oh, and I can answer the question about the Ascend. No, so sorry, and maybe we didn't make that clear. For people who completed an Ascend accredited program, you would reach out to your university where you completed that program, wherever it is, and they'll be the one who provides that form. So at Brescia, unless you completed it at Brescia or Western, we're not able to verify that you completed an accredited form. And if you already have the form, then that's what you're going to upload when you do your application. It'll be in component 1. Yes. Thank you. And there was a question about immunizations. When you say COVID-19 vaccines and boosters are required, do you mean the 2 doses of COVID-19 vaccines or more? Well, that's always a little variable. We really try to set our pre-placement requirements to be in line with the requirements of organizations that our students are going in to have placements at. I think my colleagues can confirm or deny if I'm correct. Definitely the 2, and then some places have also required at least a booster. So again, that's why we often just wait till you are offered admissions to confirm these requirements. But these are great questions to ask. And, if there's any reasons you have concerns about any of these, and you'll see this is a question in the OWL component, then we encourage you to reach out to us. If there's any health requirements you're concerned you wouldn't be able to meet, then it's better to reach out to us sooner than later. And again, it's going to be our team that are not doing the review that's going to support answering those questions. So yes, feel free to reach out. Yeah. Thanks, Rim. Hope I'm saying your name correctly. 2 vaccinations and a booster, and I think that's fairly common. Yeah, and really it's the organizations where our students do placements that guide how we set our pre-placement health and non-health requirements. So even for I know someone said this might be more detailed than you need, but for the N95 masks, sometimes you'll have to get specific models. So again, there's not really a sense in getting a fitting before you're in the program. And then again, we'll offer more guidance on some of those factors. But we like that you're thinking ahead. Any other questions about any of the content that we presented here this evening?
Or if we missed your question, feel free to post it again.
And again, visit our website for the events. We really encourage you to come to the drop-ins, and we can offer any support. We really do want to be supportive during this application time. So don't hesitate to reach out, or if something doesn't seem clear to you on the website, then do reach out. All right, we're a little over time, I think. Oh, we do have a question. Oh, great question, Sierra. Yes, for the component 1, actually, that is a good question, which is our colleague, Stephanie is not here. Sierra, could you email that question? That's a great question. I don't know if anyone knows the answers because it's a different platform that I have not used as much. So I don't know if anyone here knows the question, but if they don't, if you could just email that exact question to fnsgrad@uwo.ca, then we can get back to you with an answer. But I will let anyone else answer if they feel like they know the answer. see, that one you have to make an account for, so I'm wondering if you can. But the diploma one, you don't have to make an account for it. Yeah, so it's just a little bit different. Thanks, Leslie. I'll just put in grad.
I will add that, you know, sometimes in the past, people have started the application and forgotten to finish it. So I would caution that, you know, so make yourself a checklist and make sure you have completed everything before the deadline, because sometimes that happens to people.
So we're referring to component 1 in terms of uploading everything at once. So that's the application for either the DDEPT program or the MScFN program. And for the DDEPT program, you have to upload all those documents that we talked about at one time.
Yeah. So
However, for the other components, like the OWL component, you can go in and out.
There's nothing you have to upload for the most part in those. Oh, I think somebody did have a question about the audio response within OWL. Within OWL, you can re-record over your audio response, just like if you were typing, you could delete your response and then put it back in. After you've submitted it, you won't be able to go back and change it. And we're going to provide a short, like 30-second video when you're on those questions that you can just link to, just to, again, navigate that audio recording process. So that will be linked in the question in OWL. That is correct. We are not requiring reference letters this year, or even any reference names or contact information. No references. If you are a Brush or Western student and you're applying to other programs, again, you're going to want to see what those requirements are, because certainly other programs are going to have different requirements. So it doesn't mean you won't need any references for any program. It's just we do not require references.
And to add to that, similarly for resumes and cover letters and those kinds of components, we're not requiring them as standalone components, but other programs might be requiring them. So just to make sure to keep that in mind.
Yeah, and with regards to, is there a chance to provide a reference? There is not a chance. We are using the supplementary questions, our method of really capturing the skills and experience that traditionally are found on resumes and cover letters and references. We're using the supplementary questions this year as the way to capture that and assess that. Yeah. Yeah, great question, Crystal. On the admission requirements, there was one requirement indicating relevant voluntary or work experience. Again, it does not have to be specific to any area. Different people are going to have different opportunities based on many different factors. So it doesn't mean you had to work in a community kitchen or food blogging, but if you did do that, that certainly could count. And again, some people, you know, maybe they worked at a factory at some point, right? Like there still may be skills in an area like that could be applied in practicum that you might want to capture some of those skills. Yeah, so again, I mean, we still, you know, certainly if you have engaged in the profession or food, also capture those ones, but we're really trying to, you know, just give people the opportunity to show, because everybody has a different life, right? So different skills and experience, and it's really hard to make a checklist of this is what we want. So again, it's a little bit open-ended regarding that. And the drop-ins are also good places to kind of like ask about these kind of questions. And you know, we're also mindful of like, you know, we want to give everyone the same information so no one has an advantage over someone else. So sometimes we're a little vague in our answers, but yeah, really, I just think my advice would be to reflect on really the thing, your work, volunteer, and life experience, I think is how we worded it. Oh, yeah, that's a great question too. Again, you know, if someone's done more work and life experience and hasn't done as much volunteering, that's not necessarily a problem. We don't have any formula to say, oh, it has to be this much work, this much volunteering, this much life experience. Because we think all those experience can bring value to the program. So certainly any experiences you have had count towards the program. And it doesn't have to have taken place in Canada. Again, you could be in many places outside of Canada and gain great skills that would really be really valuable. And that's the thing, is I think all of you have skills you could bring to the program. And it's just, you know, really reflecting and capturing those. You have a question about your average. Maybe if it's specific to your average, what I might ask you to do is email FNS grad. And we can answer those on a more individualized basis. Because sometimes there's just different circumstances. So it's a little bit easier if we can do that on a one-to-one basis. All right. I'm mindful of the time, so I think we're going to wrap it up. So if anyone has any pressing questions they didn't get asked, don't hesitate to email us. And again, we'll be posting this webinar hopefully by the end of day tomorrow. It'll be on the website, and then we'll also email it out to everybody who registered, along with the links to the sites, the website we showed you today. And we wish everyone the very best of luck with the application process. And we really thank you for taking your valuable time and coming and listening to us. And I thank all my colleagues for coming too. And we really look forward to getting your applications.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming.